onward we go to the second part, and I've got listed in here operating and payroll, and so that's what I'll go over today. I'm probably missing one drop box that we'll add because we still have to do the sales forecast, which isn't listed in here, and the additional inputs, which is small but nevertheless important. So hopefully you've gotten some feedback from me. Most of you, I gave some feedback and said you needed to make some changes and to resubmit. Please, please, please read your feedback, go over it. Most of the changes that I've requested are small, relatively easy. Some of you need to get out and do a little more research. Okay, but get those done and get those put back in so we don't get falling behind here and create kind of a snowball effect, or the opposite of a snowball effect maybe, where you fall behind and you keep getting further and further behind, and it makes it very difficult then to get caught up. So please read the feedback, please correct those things, please resubmit those to that same Dropbox. That's where I would assign the grades. So for now, let's take a look at the operating and payroll expense, and we might not do them in that order. We might do the payroll first. So let's start there. Okay. This I almost wish that they would take out, okay, and I should maybe just change the template and turn these white, okay, for the owners, because unless you are a C corporation, okay, there will be no owner's pay on the payroll, okay. Only in a C corporation. Most of you will be sole proprietorships, partnerships, limited liability partnerships, or very likely limited liability companies. LLCs are becoming probably the more popular form of organization. So you guys will end up getting paid, owners end up getting paid here, where it says owner's distribution, and this is on the cash flow, which we talk about later. Okay, so please, please don't make me give you feedback that says you shouldn't have owners pay. There are some exceptions to that. In our area, a lot of agricultural companies, farms and ranches, will go C corporations because there are some other advantages there. But none of you have listed that as what you want for your business. And so unless you've got a compelling reason to be a C corporation, you will not have any owners, okay? Any owners pay. I'm sorry, you'll definitely have owners, just no owners pay. So don't put anything there. Okay? Full-time employees then, and here we go. We're going to have maybe two, right? What are you going to pay them on average? If you get two, they're probably going to work 40 hours a week, right? 35 is considered full-time, so it might be 35, whatever you guys decide, whatever you think you're going to need for your particular enterprise, and then what you plan to pay them. Okay, could be $10.50 per hour. Okay? That's what your total payroll would be. So fairly simple there, right? You may not have any full-time employees. A lot of businesses would not. If you got a little coffee shop or something, or ice cream shop, maybe you're just hiring some part-time high school or college students to come in and work, and they're going to be part-time, so there again, how many of them are you going to have? Just an estimate there, maybe 4 part-timers, and they're going to work, I was going to say they're going to work 20 hours per week, and you're going to pay them, $9.50 on average. Again, it says estimated hours per week per person, so that could be an average too. You might have some that come in 30 and some that come in 10, right? So it comes out to an average of 20, and the pay, is just an average. Okay, without listing every single employee separately. Okay, this is the best that we can do and the easiest that we can do, and this is a budget. This is for projections. You might make a more expanded spreadsheet if you were going to actually do the business and you wanted to figure out different people's pay and whatnot. So I'm going to delete that just so I get back to the template. You can see down here, all of this then is yellow, and you can change that, and I'll talk about why you might want to change that. I'm going to go back and put my numbers in here now. I should have left those in there, and 20. Okay. The problem I see with this program that makes this a little bit difficult, and that's why this is yellow, for seasonal businesses. Okay, for seasonal businesses, this is not going to be this consistent, right? So you might have an ice cream shop, and let's just say this is a normal calendar year, so this is January and this is December. Your busy months then are going to be months. 4 is going to pick up a little bit, 5 a little bit more, 6, 7, 8 are going to be your busy months, 9 and 10 are going to be decreasing. 1, 2, and 11 and 12 might not be much. And so you might have to make some changes, and this gets to be a little bit difficult up here. Okay, so because if you look at this, each one, follow along up here, is copying the cell that's just before it. So if I change this one, for example, to maybe just $1,500, it's going to change all of them to $1,500. Okay, and so I may have to come here and say, well, let's see, for months 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, I am going to have a full pay. So I'm going to hit that. Sorry, I had to pause for a second and sneeze. So I might hit this for month 5. It would be equal to that. I'm going to hit my F4 button, and you'll see that adds dollar signs. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Shoot. So I'm going to hit my F4 again, add the dollar signs, hit my enter key. And then that takes that back to that. But I want months 6, 7, 8, 9 to all equal that. And so I can drag this out. This isn't going to change things. Okay, nor is it going to change these, but I could come back here and say, I want this to be 1,500. Okay, and it changes these down here then. And so you got to manipulate this a little bit up here. And if you have some problems, give me a holler. You do have to manipulate those somewhat if you have a seasonal business. And so we can sure take a look at that for any particular needs that you might have. Payrolls here, let me make this bigger. Okay, for the second and third year, now it brings this in and it says year 2, we're going to have a 10%. These are standard, and these are gold, and so we can change these. And I might advise you to a 10% increase isn't too bad, but to go to year 3, I think what they're anticipating is that you may have huge increases in business. Year 2 maybe not so much, but year 3, a huge increase perhaps in business. This is your total from year 1, for example. So you may or may not change these. The thing about this, where I have just all part-time employees, and this is a 10% increase to equal that, this is wrong then. Okay. And I don't like the formula that they have in here necessarily, but if you have these increases all the same, it's going to be okay. And so I may want to change that, but if these are 10% up here, this needs to be 10% down here too, because this becomes my increase for these, Social Security, Medicare, and those items as well, and they should be 10%. Okay, so please make that change. If you're just all part-time and it was 10%, then we need to change that to 10%. And likewise, if you don't want to increase, if you're not planning to in your projections, to increase by 30% in this year, maybe you just want to go to 15%, then please, make that change down here as well. And you can see, you can copy, if you grab that little cross there and you can drag that down, it changes all those to 15%. So just so that kind of matches up, that still isn't perfect. If you had differing numbers up here, we'd need to change this formula down here. Again, if you want to do that, let me know. We can mess around and to make that formula happen. The easiest solution is to project similar increases for, each of these particular categories. Again, you won't have owners anyhow, so, really you can about zero those out because we won't have an owner anyways. Okay, that should be it for payroll. It does a ton of the work for you. Okay, a ton of the work for you. Although, I got to go back because I missed one. Sorry about that. Workers' comp. Okay. Everybody needs to come to this square and put in a percentage for workers' comp. Okay. there will be workers' compensation that you'll have to, I should say everybody that has an employee. If you're just running this on your own and you don't have employees, that's very possible. You wouldn't need to pay workers' comp then, but if you have any employees, you have to pay workers' comp. You can probably go to the state where you plan to have your business and find at least examples of workers' comp rates. Generally speaking, the more dangerous the job, the higher the rate of workers' compensation. So, for example, construction jobs, roofers, they pay some pretty intense. They might pay 50%. It might even be higher, okay, in workers' comp, meaning that they have to pay, that much, and looks like we'd have to change some of these a little bit to match with these up here. But they'd have to pay they'd have to pay a big amount of workers' comp. Somebody that's in an office or something might be more like 3% or something. Okay. Again, these apparently need to be modified to take into account the seasonal aspect that I had up there. But you have to have some kind of a workers' comp amount in there. Okay, because every business would need that. So that's it. That should do it for the payroll for the most part. I think I'm gonna stop with this video, and because I'm limited to 15 minutes, and then I'll start the operating expenses in a separate video.